And then the movie I watched this week is called Lamb. It is it's a very difficult movie to talk about, as I've discovered by talking about it with anyone. So I had to really formulate my words tonight. Um, if you've seen the trailer, I think the trailer does this movie a disservice in the goal of trying to get more people to see the movie. It's not a horror movie, as it's kind of marketed as. It is a slice of life movie with some weird things that happen, and namely the one weird thing is that this Icelandic couple who are farmers are their sheep are giving birth, and one of them that they pull out is like a half human, like a sheep head and one sheep arm, and then human. And so that's all in the trailer. I mean, you don't.
Who banged the sheep?
Well, that's a good question. But let me read what I have written down.
I think you should write what you read.
I should write what I read.
Yeah.
It would probably be more coherent somehow. Lamb is chapter 2 of a 3-part story. It feels incomplete, but I think that's the point. It's less about a hero's journey and more about just getting through life one day at a time. It's a humble reminder that we are rarely blessed with the knowledge of what someone else is really going through. Instead, we get glimpses into their lives, and while their decisions might look bizarre upon first glance, it's simple to think that way because we don't know their story. We're accustomed to movies and literature giving us a complete, quotations there, complete story with a logical beginning, an understandable trial, and emotional resolution. But Lamb isn't trying to do any of that. It exists more as a form of visual poetry or some kind of folk tale. Something with mystery that isn't explained, but is there to send your imagination swirling. It would be easy just to say that this movie isn't what I expected and therefore it's bad. But I think instead we should judge it on what it's trying to be and not necessarily what our expectations of what we want it to be. Lamb, much like its child character Ada, is wholly unique, and I truly appreciate it for that. That was my long way of saying I don't think most people would enjoy this movie, but I do think it's something special. Because it's not like anything else I've seen. And I'm sure there are other atmospheric drama movies that exist and that might even be better than this. But it was a new kind of movie-going experience for me. Some quick pros. It's shot beautifully. You can even see it in the trailer. It's pretty gorgeous. The lead actress, Noomi Rapace, is very good. And even her husband, I think, is decent. They don't have a lot of dialogue, and so they have to act a lot with their faces and their emotions. And I think that works well in some instances. It hurts it in others because there's not a lot explained about it. And then I think the lamb child, Ada, is her name, ends up being very endearing. By the end of this, I cared about what happened to their little family, a very untraditional family. Cons, I already mentioned the marketing. I thought marketing did not do this movie any favors in terms of what people expect from it. I think it probably got people in the theater because I don't know how you market this movie. and people did not just say, I'm not going to go see that. I think its runtime is a little long. It's a very slow burn. And when there's not a lot of dialogue or quote-unquote action, like there's just not a lot to drive the drama, then that hour 46, that hour 45 just feels really long. Like I think a 90-minute version of this movie is probably a better version of it. And then I think the resolution will be unsatisfying for a lot of people, probably most people. Like I said in the beginning of this, it's part 2 of a 3-part story. Like, it's not just a second act. It does have a little bit of like setup and a little bit of resolution, but like traditionally we would see more.
Just the middle chunk.
Yeah, just that middle
More
chunk.
so.
So
That is a weird story structure.
yeah. I'm gonna end up rating this a Matthew McConaughey because I do think it could have been. There are certain elements that definitely could have been done better. Editing was one of those things. Dialogue was another. I think it's a bit surface level. Like, it could have gone deeper. They keep it fairly surface level to keep the mystery up. So you don't really get to explore why do the characters feel so attached to this thing. Like, it's I don't want to spoil anything, but it's hard for me to recommend, I guess. But if you're into weird film stuff, like, go see it. I would recommend it if you're into weird stuff like that. Like, I think The Lighthouse is probably a better version of this, but The Lighthouse has more conflict. Like, this movie attempts tension without conflict, as much conflict. There is some conflict, but like The Lighthouse still is just kind of this atmospheric drama at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
It just gets really intense, and this never gets that intense.
I need to watch The Lighthouse.
So,
Agreed. Right, I have a TLDR question.
yeah.
Was it good? Or was it bad?
Oh, Luke.
I don't care about the answer. I just had to ask.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's good. If I thought it was just bad, I wouldn't have written that whole thing to try and explain why I thought it was worth seeing for some people.
I'll be honest, you didn't convince me.
I'm not surprised. I don't think I'm convincing many people, and that's okay.
Yeah. I think the trailer is convincing for me, but I just don't know. That made me not want to see it. Made me feel like I'd walk out of the theater angry.
It's possible. It's, again, I think it's a little bit like, how much do you care about resolution? Because the movie has very little.
I feel like if I'm watching an A24 movie, I need to go in with that mindset.
It's not going to make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going to make sense. There might not be a resolution. Especially if it's one of the weird ones.
Yeah.
Like A24 either has completely normal, nothing strange about it in any way whatsoever, or what the freaking crap even is this? It's one or the other.
It's interesting because it's what the freaking crap is this, but in like
The most normal way
the
possible.
most normal way possible. Absolutely.
They've blended their two sides. Now we don't even know what to think.
They've merged in the middle. To become
What did you
something
think
new.
of my I got lucky I was able to watch this movie with no one else in the theater. I was the only one there, so I live tweeted my reactions. Did you guys enjoy my
I loved it. That was more so. Not dumping on you here. That was more convincing than what you wrote. Your live tweeting of the movie was way more interesting to me than that.
That's fair.
I wasn't really following it live. I was pretty late to it, but I did enjoy the thread.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah. It was there's just a lot of interesting choices that are made, and by the filmmakers, not necessarily the characters. There isn't a lot that happens in the movie, and that is maybe a con, I guess. It's just slow. It's just a slice of life movie where it's like, we gotta go plant potatoes today.
Heck yeah, man.
We're gonna bring the kid along with us. A little raincoat.
Got to put him to work.
That's right.